My partner,
Austin from Ajax.
Austin from Ajax, is back. We're here to talk about Week 16 of the NFL. This is your betting podcast. It's kind of in between the square and the sharp better. We do talk anything sports, but we're going to focus and hone in on NFL action, Week 16 betting action. But the overall podcast, you can hear anything related to sports from these two guys' point of view, and we'll keep going even without football season. And you can follow us on the X. I'm going to call it the X, X or Twitter at Overrated EXPER2. That's Overrated EXPER2. And also at Overrated Experience on YouTube. If you want to watch the video portion of this podcast, we'll have this uploaded afterwards. We're here on the live stream. So welcome to those who are listening, those who are listening to us afterwards. And we want to thank all those who've been following us for the NFL season. Austin from Ajax, any shout outs you want to give to any of our listeners?
Yeah, I got a lot of friends watching the podcast right now, and I want to say thank you. It keeps me motivated. Shout out to Jellybean. Shout out to Yannick. Shout out to Ozzy. I know you guys are always tuning in, showing your support. Want to let you know I appreciate you, and also appreciate everyone else here that's listening.
I want to point out I have no idea who the hell you guys are, but I appreciate your support. Okay? Anyway, Austin from Ajax, I see that you got a new background. Can you tell us about your marketing team that came in and strategically positioned jerseys? Tell us about your background.
It's a work in progress, but it was actually a suggestion from my friend Ozzy to hang up some jerseys in the background. If I'm being honest, I threw them up 10 minutes before the podcast started, but maybe next week I'll have it looking a little nicer. But this is what it is.
You know what they say, if you start taking advice from the fans, you'll start sitting with them. So make sure that you pick only the good suggestions and leave the suggestion box. You know what I call a suggestion box? A blue bin, right? For recycling day. Anyway, that's good. So welcome everybody who's back. We got a big show here today. Again, focus on Week 16 in the NFL. I can't believe we're already here. It feels like it was Week 1. 16 weeks ago. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does, because we're in Week 16. So we're going to talk about a lot of things, but before we do, we're going to talk about some interesting things related to Austin's always bringing a concrete fact. Let's kick it off. I want to know what the next layer, the next stage of the concrete world is. So give us some concrete facts, Austin. I think you got a couple, don't you? Not just one.
Yeah,
you got a 2-for-1 offer. Got it.
So last week you said come back with more information. Concrete, my interesting fact was that concrete was once mixed in space, and I had no information regarding that situation. So astronauts mixed concrete on the International Space Station because they wanted to see how it hardens without gravity. The experiment, called the Mix Experiment, showed that concrete is more porous but stronger in space. The hope is to create better materials for Moon and Mars habitats, and using concrete actually protects astronauts from radiation.
That's actually interesting because I didn't know. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. And then I got a new fact, just
okay.
Trying to come with at least one every week, and it's kind of space related. So the Seattle Space Needles Foundation used 5,600 tons of concrete poured nonstop for 12 hours, which was the longest continuous pour in Western U.S. At the time.
That's a lot of concrete.
Their space needle. Yeah.
Can you imagine? Okay, so you're in the concrete industry. If like the data you just spewed about the space needle, can you imagine working that job? How long it would take and the amount of concrete? Does that blow your mind?
That'd be a hard day. That definitely blows my mind.
Right.
And it's crazy. It's crazy to know at the time. So it's like, what the hell is even what was poured that was bigger? You know what I mean?
Right.
But
and then,
very interesting.
My understanding, and you can expand on this, I think you just worked at a site that involved nuclear, but concrete is has a big relationship with like any nuclear power plant, things like that, because concrete, I believe, is the insulator and is the best method to kind of insulate a nuclear reactor. Can you tell me about your day this week?
Well, okay. To be fair, I don't know the details with using concrete to protect radiation. No. We went to that site, and it was just like work on the ground. It wasn't like we were building barriers or anything like that. I definitely got a lot of concrete knowledge and facts, but I can't tell you the radiation protection.
Okay, so that is your job for next week.
Know.
Yeah,
right.
You know what? I was about to tell you to put the white coat on for scientific, but as soon as you didn't have an answer, leave the white coat off, bring it next week, okay? Also, for next week, what I want you to think about is I want you to think about some New Year's betting resolutions that you have heading into 2026. I know I've sat down and thought about, okay, as a bettor, what do I need to do to be successful heading into the new year? What are those New Year's resolutions? And to be honest with you, I think that the best method is being patient. I have no patience. I get caught up in the action like everybody else does, just like anybody else listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
But I sat down and said to myself, look, man, it's just like losing weight. It's just like being healthy. You have to be disciplined to stay in this racket. So I've committed. So I'm committed, just like every other fool on New Year's that makes a resolution. Excuse me. I'm committed to try to stick with finding what I believe are edges versus just because I get pissed off when I lose, right? I like, fuck, like I dropped a couple hundred in the 1 o'clock hour. I feel angry. Let me get back at it in the 4 o'clock hour. But now I'm going to start picking out my units. You know what those are, right? When you start picking out units, that my 1 unit is this amount of money. 2 units is this. My best bet is 3 units. I'm going to try to stick to that philosophy. So I'm trying to play right now. Like, for example, I'm watching Chelsea and Newcastle. I used 1 unit on the bet I made. All right. The game's coming up at 10 o'clock. So if you guys see me look to my left, it's because I got Chelsea and Newcastle going at the 7:30 game. And 10 o'clock, we got more games coming up in the EPL. So I'm trying to stick with the units. I'm going to try to grind, because this is what it's supposed to be, is a grind. It's not supposed to be, oh my God, I won a couple thousand on one day. It's supposed to be a grind, and I got to remember that. I've been doing this long enough where I should know that. So I'm going to try to do it. That's my New Year's resolution, and that's kind of what I want you to bring next week, those kind of thoughts that you're going to bring to the podcast in 2026, and or if you have any New Year's resolutions related to your betting habits. You good with that?
Sounds good, yes.
All right, and also a concrete fact of why concrete is very important when it comes to building a nuclear power plant.
Okay, sounds
Very
good.
two different things to think about, but those are the things I want you to do. All right, so those are the items there. Man, we got a lot of sports going on. We have Saturday NFL action here today. You remember that, right? Like, it's just new. Yeah,
so games today.
Mixed in with college football, 3 games for the college football playoff. Last night we had Alabama, who went down real early against Oklahoma, 17-0. They stormed back, won the game. They move on, which is awesome. And Miami, Texas A&M kickoff at 12. We got 2 other games after that. I know you're not the college football guy, but mix in college football playoff action, NFL action. This is a day. This is an absolute huge day. So a lot going on here. We'll touch base on those 2 games. Also, just fantasy football wise, everybody is kind of getting into that first round of playoffs. I know there's exceptions for those who decided to go 17 weeks versus 16 before getting into the playoffs. It's me against you in the 416.
Yep.
We kick it off. We kicked it off on Thursday, and I'll tell you how I feel, because guess what? Austin has Puka Nacua, which he had 40.5 points. 40.5 points for a wide receiver that I haven't had a player on my team take a snap. And I feel like if I showed up on Sunday ready to play, I got out of the car and it's like, guys, it's I'm ready to go. Yeah, it's over. What do you mean it's over? What? I just showed up. I stretched. It's over. What do you got Puka'd? What? Puka'd? Yeah, he got 40.5 points. You might as well just turn around and go home. I'm so pissed off that I have the utmost respect with the performance on Thursday night, but I can't believe, and here's what my thoughts were on Thursday, and we're going to talk about Thursday right now, is when Puka, he had a big week. Some of it great, and some of it not so great. He was on a live stream where he made some critical comments about refereeing in the NFL, which he got fined $25,000 for. I don't know if you heard about that, but he got fined for that. And then he also had a controversial conversation where he was contemplating taking the suggestion of the live streamer that he would do this touchdown celebration, which apparently was anti-Semitic, which is not good. I don't think he knew, but it obviously caused a problem. So you have his off the field scenario, and then you have the Rams that had no Devontae Adams playing, which I thought was going to be impactful, and I thought the off field stuff and the lack of that secondary star receiver being in the game on Thursday night would have affected his production. Man, was I wrong? I can't believe he torched the Seahawks for 225 yards, I believe, receiving. And, like, he already torched them, and then add in overtime where he adds a touchdown. This guy's an absolute force, and I'm ready to anoint him as the guy. He's the number one receiver in the NFL right now. Am I wrong? He's the number one receiver in the NFL right now.
If you guys have been listening in, I've let you guys know that I started watching football 10 years ago. I haven't been watching necessarily my entire life, but I have never witnessed in my 10 years of watching so far a better start to a career than Puka Nacua. He's unbelievable. He puts up video game numbers. His biggest problem is staying healthy, but when he's on the field, I don't think anyone is better than him. Hey, other than Justin Jefferson.
I think he's better right now, man. I think he's more valuable because he's everywhere.
Yeah,
right.
But
I think he's everywhere.
The only thing I want to think in my head is if Justin Jefferson had the MVP quarterback, Matt Stafford, that who knows? Who knows what Justin Jefferson could be capable of? But no, Puka Nacua, that's a hypothetical. But the fact is, Puka Nacua is that guy.
I think he's the guy, and I am also now thinking that is Matthew Stafford an MVP without Puka? Who is enhanced more? Is it Matthew Stafford who's enhanced by Puka, or Puka enhanced by Matthew Stafford? I'm starting to think that Puka has like Matthew Stafford's like a Super Bowl winning, consistent quarterback, no question.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's an MVP without Puka.
Well, no, you gotta remember, as good as Matthew Stafford is, you could put him as a top 10 quarterback, but if you give a top 10 quarterback Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, his numbers are going to look like number one. This is the best wide receiver tandem in football right now. I don't think it's close.
And where Puka stands out to me is I truly believe that, Justin Jefferson's been hindered big time by the quarterback situation with the Vikings. I think, though, that if you have Puka on your team, I think it's probably a little better. I think that there's probably more production with a shit quarterback like the Vikings have a situation with Puka than Justin Jefferson. I really do. Because I think Justin Jefferson, don't get me wrong, I'm a Justin Jefferson fan, and I was a guy on here saying he's the best receiver in football. But when I'm watching Puka week in, week out, he's everywhere. He is everywhere to receive bombs, like over the middle, sideline. But he's also in the slot. He's like, it's just everywhere. I can't believe the amount of times I looked up on Thursday, like, holy shit, is that Puka again? How is he not triple covered? I don't understand this.
Can I tell you a funny story also about Puka Nacua related to fantasy?
Sure.
And I'm not putting anybody down. I won't mention any names. But I remember when he was a rookie in fantasy football, I picked him up in like 3 or 4 leagues. And I remember I traded him one league because he emerged onto the scene with some of the best games of all time to start a career. Like 20 catch game or something like that. He had like first 3 weeks of his career, something like that. And I remember I tried trading him for like a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy, and somebody called him a waiver guy. It's like, oh, you picked him up off the waivers. He'll be dropped in a couple of weeks. But I always look back to that and I'm like, holy shit, now he's the best receiver in fucking football. That's crazy.
I guess that comment didn't age well at all. I mean, he is absolutely dominant now. Man, he's going to be probably even more a focal point, a name, a celebrity in the NFL. I just don't hope. I hope he doesn't get caught up in this stupid shit about controversies off the field. People are going to want his attention. People are going to want to bring him on to whatever platform. I hope he has the kind of just go with cliches, Just stay, we're all, do the boring stuff, man, and stick with your success on the field. But man, he's dominant. So the Thursday nighter itself, the Seattle Seahawks pull out an unbelievable comeback win of 38-37. It was insane. Like I was watching this game on Thursday, and when the Rams went up 16 points, I got my over because I thought over 42.5 I felt was too low in a Thursday night game like that. And I had a same game parlay where I needed Matthew Stafford to throw 200, the game to go over 36.5, and the Rams just not to lose by 10.5, so I felt comfortable. So after the Rams went up 16 points, it kind of flipped the wave, like, this is over, right? And then I circle back, a few moments later, and Seattle, returns a punt for a touchdown. They convert the 2-point conversion. They're down by 8. Man, we got a game. We got a game here on Thursday. I didn't think Seattle had it, because your boy,
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, looked pretty rough, man. Again, when he is faced with stress, when he is faced with kind of like, I don't have an answer, we're not in control, I feel he cracks.
Yeah.
I feel he cracks and starts throwing picks. But then, they're down by 8. They the defense on Seattle really started to shut the Rams down. In regulation, absolutely big time on that D. Seattle comes back, score a touchdown, need a 2-point conversion to tie the game up. They go back. So here's the big play. They go back, snap the ball. Quick pass, quick toss to the left. Ball's deflected by a Rams defender. Plays over. They line up for the extra. They line up. The teams are lining up for the kickoff, and then bam, the play is under review. Play's under review for what, right? And you got the commentators talking. You got their Al Michaels, and they got their rules guy coming. I can't remember his name. Yeah, this might be a fumble. Like, what are you talking about, right? And then they go into the replay, and they're suggesting that Sam Darnold's pass was a lateral. It was a reverse pass. It was lateral. It was behind the line of scrimmage, and we got a clear, recovery. So Charbonnet, picks it up like he was trying to clean the field. You know what I mean? Like, it was like somebody dropped a napkin or a piece of garbage on the field, and he's picking it up, and he happens to pick it up with one hand in the end zone. And it turns out, after review, the play is reversed. We have a fumble recovered by the offense. We have a successful 2-point conversion. Weirdest play I've ever seen in my life as far as on 2-point conversions. Really was the difference maker in this game, right? Because it tied it up, goes to overtime. We have Puka Nacua again. Goddamn Puka Nacua over the middle scores like a long touchdown just to cement your goddamn place in the final in the 4-1-6. I'm not going to show up. I don't know if I'm going to set my alarm on Sunday. And then I'll end it off. I'll end it off. Seattle marches down the field. Now, which makes sense with like under 3 minutes or just over 3 minutes to play. If they score a touchdown, a tie or to give the ball back to the Rams makes zero sense. The right play was to go for 2. They hit it. Sammy Darnold totally redeems himself and makes some big plays down the stretch. Seahawks are now in control of the NFC. I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to mention, not only was it the craziest 2-point conversion you ever seen, but it could cost you the trip to the finals.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It can. Like,
it's
crazy. And then you hear comments from Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford after about that 2-point conversion. And it's hard not to, see their side of things on this one. I mean, when you look at the replay, I guess you could make the argument that ball was a revert. What's the right term? Reverse throw, like what? A throw behind the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. When you really look at it, I get it. I mean, you're making a point. Like Matthew Stafford made a point. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Is that the fumble goes forward, and I thought it was you can't, like an offense can't fumble forward, and recover for a positive gain. So it's very murky on how that play went down, why it was uh, allowed to that 2 point conversion. So I guess the right call was made, but there's a blind spot somewhere here. Like there's a blind spot where two teams have stopped playing. They're lining up for an extra kick, like the kickoff, and replay tells you that no, it's a successful 2 point conversion. There's no way that, and I know the whistles didn't go, but nobody was playing the situation. There's a blind spot, and although maybe the right play or right ruling was provided, I think there's something that needs to be addressed because it's not real. It's not real. Like it wasn't a contested situation where they were jumping on a fumble. Nobody thought it was live.
See, I actually have a very different opinion. Watching that play, even though none of the players realized, I was like, oh, clearly that ball was going backwards. Once it hits his helmet, it's a fumble. It's a live ball. So it's like, I don't believe that they have the right to complain because if this was a computer running everything, that would be the correct play. So to me, there's nothing to argue about. I understand. It was bullshit on their end, like, what the fuck, we're already lined up, all this shit. But it's like, hey, they paused that game and they got the right play. They got the play corrected. So that's their job.
Okay.
They did their job, and I think, I don't think they have any right to complain.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, we've dealt with replay long enough where any ball that is on the ground should be picked up, should be contested, in case of a scenario like that. In case where, was there a clear recovery? Yeah. Well, I still see every Sunday, every Thursday, every Monday night where, guys are not tackling somebody who has made a catch or assuming they've been down, like college where you're down, or especially when the ball comes loose. Like you said, like all you need to do as a player is recover the ball and clear it up later. Like if it's not a fumble, who cares? Your job is to get on the ball. Yeah. So I agree with you that any loose ball, grab it, get on it, recover it, and let's figure it out later. Yeah. Right? That's so your point is that if we were talking robots, there would be no stop because there was no whistle, and that's the player's fault for not playing to the whistle. So you're anti-player. Is that what you're saying?
No,
why don't you get your ref jersey back there? How about that?
The ref should. All I'm saying is every scoring play is reviewed by the referees, and they made the right call, right? If I'm not mistaken, every scoring play is reviewed, right?
It is, but it wasn't considered a score. That's the problem. That's one of the problems.
Considered a score.
Remember, it was
I thought it was
ruled a score, but it wasn't a score. The initial ruling was an incomplete pass. So it wasn't technically a scoring play.
Oh, I see.
So I don't even that I'm not clear on.
What you're saying is they shouldn't have had the right to basically review that.
I don't know. I would like clarity on why, because I don't believe it was a challenge, right? So where did it come from?
I understand. Yeah, now I understand. In my head now I'm thinking, if this wasn't a primetime game and this was mixed in with the rest of the games, would that have been called? So now I understand where you're coming from. My mind is now more understanding. Crazy stuff.
If this was okay, let's one of the shit games that's going to be on the card is let's look at this. If this was, I'm going to look at the card. We'll get to it. Let's say it's the Jets heading into New Orleans. Like you said, it's a Sunday afternoon, 1:00 game. Two teams that are not even close to the playoffs. Would this have come up? Would this have been reviewed? Would this have been a focal point? I don't know. You're right. It's a primetime game. Maybe it made a difference.
Yeah, even though it was the correct call, why were they going in and fixing it? That's not the. They shouldn't be able to pick and choose when they do it. I understand.
I don't know. It was weird, but what a wild game. Seattle's in the driver's seat, man. I did not see this coming.
Yeah.
But for those out there that go online, talk about ad nauseum a breakdown of an NFL football game, like, oh, the percentages are they cover the spread and shit like that. You cannot predict a scenario where that game was turned on its head because of a 2-point conversion, the way it went down like that. If that 2-point conversion doesn't play out the way it does, the Rams win that football game. That game does not go to overtime. That game Puka Nacua doesn't score 40 fucking points in fantasy. He's up in 20s, but there's a lot of ripple effect on a controversial, you'll never see again type of play that you cannot analyze and break down prior to that game. So I just want to keep throwing that out there as randomness does happen, and you cannot break it down all the time.
Luck is real.
Luck is real, folks. Luck is real. Play your lottery today. Anyway, Patty Mahomes. Man, this just Chiefs story just keeps going south. I can't believe, not only were they on the doorstep of being kicked out of the playoffs last week, they had the Chargers, I believe, ready to at least tie that game on that final drive. And then Patty Mahomes tears his ACL.
Oh, my
and
God.
Not only does the Chiefs season go in the shitter even further, they lose that game to solidify they're not going to make the playoffs, no hope. But there is now a big injury. Patty Mahomes impacted into next year. Like, what do you gotta say about this Chiefs team? Like, what's going on? This is a downfall.
You know
man.
what? They've already been struggling so much. From a betting standpoint, as terrible as it is to say, I kept telling you guys to take Kansas City because it's usually a team that always pulls it out. But now that Mahomes isn't there, at least I can stay away from making those picks. But man, is this crazy for the Chiefs organization who just went to a Super Bowl? What a nightmare scenario. But
absolute nightmare. Yeah.
Fun fact: apparently, the same season, relative to the career, Tom Brady and Mahomes both tore their ACL. And at that point, they both had 3 Super Bowls.
And do you know what team Brady was playing when he got his ACL torn?
What team he was playing against? Was it Kansas City?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. I just seen this statistic with Brady and Mahomes comparisons to this point in the year. And I was like, holy shit, that's actually really, even though Mahomes, last year he loses the Super Bowl, torn ACL, the guy has 3 Super Bowls under his belt. Everyone will be anticipating, excited for when he gets back.
Yeah, I hope he does because I know there's a lot of haters out there. I like Patty Mahomes. He's one of the greats already. I expect part of his story and his career will be a recovery. But the Chiefs in general need to line up. I think they need a different game plan on how to approach Patty Mahomes going forward. How they've built this team right now, I think is expired. I think the idea of how success looks to them under Andy Reid, they need to go to the drawing board and really figure out a different game plan. And this is because it's not working, right?
Yeah.
And I talked about this. Travis Kelce, I think, is on the back end. Obviously, I don't even think he's in the back 9. I think he's in the final 2 holes of his career. Yeah. And I think it would benefit him if he wants to continue to play, that he plays that Gronk mercenary role where once we get later in the season and let's say the Chiefs and or any other team is looking for an impact player, he's there to play. Right? I don't think putting him through 17 more weeks or games is where his career needs to be. But I'm sure he can be effective, but just not as a full-time tight end any further. That's my thought.
I agree.
Okay.
Are you ready if I bring up another injury? Just
go ahead.
Craziness of last week. So not only did we lose the number 1 quarterback in football, obviously relative to his career, not necessarily this year. We lost Micah Parsons, who is widely considered one of the best defensive players in football. And this is devastating to the Green Bay Packers, who we recently just talked about were top 4 in Super Bowl betting odds. I would love, we'll reach the point where we look at this later in the podcast, but man, does it affect that team? Holy cow!
Yeah, do you really, without Tucker Kraft, was one big loss, and now Micah Parsons, probably the most significant defensive player in the NFL. You could argue that, right? Yeah. Without him, do you really, and coming off a loss in Denver where they're now back at the 7th seed or whatever it is in the NFC, do you really look at them as a Super Bowl threat now? What's honestly, your opinion on the Packers?
If the Green Bay Packers would have made it to the Super Bowl, Micah Parsons would have been that top guy for MVP voting odds. You know what I'm saying? He's such a difference maker that I almost don't know if you can look at the Green Bay Packers as the same team anymore.
Right. And right now they hold down the 7th seed. If the season ended today, they would be playing the Bears in Chicago, which is ironic because they're going to be playing the Bears in Chicago today. which is great. Which is a great matchup for a
That's a
Saturday
great
alone.
game.
That's a great game.
And without Mika Parsons, like that's a level playing field. I'll say
Yes.
without Mika Parsons, they are equal strength.
But the reality in the NFL, and it's just the way it is that injuries are a part of the game, and you can't undercut when these teams are better, organizations are better at drafting, and they find depth talent year after year, aka the Ravens. I guess the Chiefs, but I just think of the Ravens or the Packers. You have to be able to find depth talent, NFL players that can replace other NFL players, or you're going to be dead. You're not going to make it through 17 weeks and then get to the playoffs. Quarterback's a different situation. I think you're dead if you lose your quarterback. I don't care if the Chiefs right now were 15-0 and they had to head into the playoffs. Gardner Minshew. It's not going to happen. The quarterback's a different scenario. But wow, what a loss for Green Bay. So let's kick it off. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Week 16 of the NFL. Do you have a point to make? Sorry, I had a dramatic entry into the.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. Just one more torn ACL. Guys had an amazing career. Shout out to Zach Ertz as well. He's retiring. I'm pretty sure I heard he's retiring for football. But I'll keep it at that so we can get into the games.
Yeah, Zach Ertz. We talked about it last week. He was mic'd up. His knee got obliterated.
I forgot we mentioned that last week. My bad.
Maybe you missed the episode last week somehow.
Yeah.
Anyway, going into Week 16, this is the first week of Saturday NFL action. We talked about it earlier, mixed into the college football playoff. You can't get better than this. So we're going to kick it off. Saturday's first game is the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles take on Mariota and the Washington Commanders. And this line opened up a 6.5-point favorite for the Eagles, now has jumped to 7. And right now it's 44.5.
Yeah.
So the Eagles rebounded last week, smashing the disgusting, pathetic Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, and now head into Washington to take on the Commanders. Now the Commanders, coming off a big win last week against the Giants. Marcus Mariota is a serviceable backup. He's a threat. And I don't know, man. I think this line might be too wide. 7 points. Do you trust the Eagles to cover 7 points on the road against the Commanders? What do you think?
Honestly, I 100% believe that they're gonna cover that 7 points.
Wow.
For the Commanders.
Okay.
Over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about a lot of struggling teams that were known going into the year as quality teams, and obviously Eagles are the reigning Super Bowl champs, and they've struggled. They had that 3-game losing streak. That was critical, but they're coming off a win, and I think honestly this ball is rolling. I've seen the Eagles get hot right before the playoffs before, and it hasn't been good for the rest of the NFL. So I think easily today they win on double digits, and not only that, but I really like the over 44.5.
Wow.
I'll definitely be tuning into this game, and I'll be more locked into the games this week. Give me the Eagles. I have full faith on them. The dogs are going to eat. Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley. I feel like all of them could have a good game. Maybe one of them has a lower than the rest of the two. But I see big numbers for this game. Big success for the Eagles. I'd like to hear your thoughts too.
Well, I got Saquon in the 4-1-6, so I need him to go off. I hope he runs for 300 yards. Okay, so I can Saquon you instead of getting Puka on my side here. So we'll see
tell
what
Saquon to get in that car and go home. He got Puka.
He got Puka. I was like, just turn around. It's over. So I look at it differently. I still believe that the struggles in Philadelphia are real on the offensive side. It's staggering to see the same team that we've seen the last couple of years of this offense, the way or lack of effectiveness that we're seeing them push the ball downfield. They have so many weapons, like you pointed out, but I don't know if they know how to use them. Something's not right in Philadelphia. They probably squeak out a win here, but I think I will take the Commanders to cover the 7 points. I'm sorry, but I'll take Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. He is going to lead them into a tight ball game here, so I'll take the Commanders. And just to be different, I'll say under 44.5. I'm going to say under. I'm going to complete opposite. So just to throw out there, Jaden Daniels is out for the rest of the year. I think they're shutting him down. So it's Marcus Mariota the rest of the way for a Commanders team that's going nowhere. And Jalen Carter for the Eagles is out. He was out last week, so he's their best defender. And, the Eagles got the Commanders twice in the next 2 weeks. I mean, if you're the Commanders, what else are you playing for other than to ruin the hopes of your division foe? And that is the Eagles. So that's where I take that. And almost forgetting our results from last week, week 15. You ready for them?
Oh, God.
You shouldn't be. Like, I mean, you might have to take the jerseys down behind you. So from the spread point of view, I was 7 for 15. You were 8 for 15. So you were better. And you were plus 500. I was below 500. Over under, I was 7 for 15 again. But Austin, honestly, you should hang your resignation right now. You are 4 for 15 on over-unders. Disgusting.
That's what I get for betting all overs.
Then you went, but remember you also went for a little stretch there where you're taking unders. You were trash talking overs. We only do overs, and then I'll take the under.
All right,
So
we're coming back stronger this week.
okay, let's hope because that was not good. So first game Saturday kickoff.
And
We are on opposite sides.
sorry for cutting you off there. I just want to mention it is very interesting to me that it seems like for this first game of the slate here that we're on different ends of the spectrum. I don't know if I will have more confidence in another game than this -7 here.
Well, anybody listen to the podcast will know we are on the spectrum. There you go. But that's part of that. And the second game, which is absolutely a gem here, we have the Green Bay Packers heading into Chi-Town to take on the Chicago Bears. The Bears lead the NFC North and are marching towards, they are the number 2 seed at the moment, behind the Rams, or behind the Seahawks, sorry. What do you see here? So we have the Packers are 1.5 underdogs, over-under 46.5. You talked about Micah Parsons out for the whole entire season with that torn ACL. And the Bears losing in Green Bay a couple weeks back, but now they got the Bears at home. Sorry, they got the Packers at home and control their own destiny. Can they smash the Micah Parsons-less Packers today?
Yeah, I don't. I didn't expect to see actually line makers agree that the Bears were the favorite, but you know what? Like, this is basically a 50-50 game. I think you give it to the Bears. They're at home. Like I said, this is I said earlier in the podcast, these teams now without Micah Parsons, I believe to be equal strength. And therefore, the Bears having the home field advantage. I think that's the difference. It's -1.5. I think they probably win by 3. Give me the Bears. But you know what? Give me no Micah Parsons. I got to go for the over 46.5. But that's not a confident one. That's just because we're listening. I'd stay away from that.
So you lean towards the over.
I lean towards the over. Obviously, we take the picks for every game here. This is just one I want to mention to the viewers. I probably wouldn't take myself. That's pretty much right on where I think the game's going to be around. But we'll see.
All right. Would I be surprised if the Packers come into Chicago and win? No. Am I confident that Caleb Williams is an elite quarterback? No. Can he get the job done in certain scenarios? Yeah. So I'll ride the Bears train here. But I am not super confident that they will win. But I will, if I had to pick a side and flip a coin, that's the side I'm going to land on. I'll also land on the over, again, leaning it. I could see this game being a cold weather type of game where a lot of running is going to happen. Now, just a note for the Packers, we talked about their injuries to, devastating injuries to Micah Parsons on the defensive side. Tucker Kraft out tight end, he was an impactful player for the Packers. But also Watson, wide receiver, is questionable, so he's limping around. I don't know how healthy he's going to be as a deep threat for Jordan Love. And Josh Jacobs is banged up. He's been banged up for a few weeks, but still is effective. But just worth noting that they're not 100%. So that's the Saturday action. Hopefully we have some good games there. But we kick it off on Sunday with an interesting matchup. Especially, it could impact a lot of fantasy teams with a potential high-scoring game, and that is the LA Chargers heading to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Eliminated officially. Let me just check this here. NFC Cowboys are the Cowboys are still in. They're 6-7-1, but they absolutely need the Eagles to lose all 3. So they are, on paper still alive, but not really in reality still alive. So they take on the Chargers at home. The Chargers are real, right? They are. Let's see. I'm trying to think how far they're behind the Broncos here. They're 2 games behind the Broncos. Likely to not win the division. They seem like they're in a comfortable playoff spot, but you don't know. Things could happen where they can challenge for that division lead. But they take on the Cowboys. The Chargers are 2.5-point dogs. Dogs. Is that what you see there? Am I right? Did I write that down wrong?
Yeah, you're right.
I don't understand that at all. The Cowboys disgustingly last week laid an egg against the Vikings. They absolutely needed a game. They needed that win last week, and they could not stop anything. After a few weeks of, oh my God, their defense is turning around, absolutely get shredded by J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings. Disgusting. You know how disgusted I am because I had a big bet on the fucking Cowboys that couldn't come through for me? And I don't understand why. I'm going to take the Chargers. The Chargers are on my side. I'll take the points. And I think it's going to be oh, by the way, and remember Aubrey, he missed 2 field goals, 2 makeable field goals last week after hitting 4 field goals the week previous, 3 of which were 55 plus. You can't predict that. How could you predict that? That he's suddenly going to lay an egg against the Vikings on Sunday night, indoors, no weather impact, but suddenly he can't kick them anymore. So that's the... sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent here. I'll take the Chargers. I need Herbert to light it up, to chase my competitor on the 416. I need McConkey to actually step up. He's been kind of a no-show last couple weeks. So what say you on this one?
So just want to roll it back for a quick second. Just on the Bears side, Roma Dunze is also out. All right.
Okay, that's a big one. Yep, that's good.
Just want to mention as well, a New Year's resolution should probably never to be to bet the Cowboys because that's rough sailing.
That is rough sailing, 100%.
And with that note of never betting the Cowboys, I think I'm 100% on the train with you. I don't understand what the line makers are thinking here. I don't think the Chargers should be a huge favorite, but I think they should probably be the 2.5-point favorite. Give me the Chargers. Give me the over 49.5. Let's go.
I know it's more than this, but let's just use our imagination here. Let's pretend you're at FanDuel or DraftKings or whatever, and you're sitting there on Sunday night or Monday morning, and you got to put a line on this game. Mm-hmm. Are you high, drunk, or maybe just somehow medically unclear to sit there and put a line out there for this game? Why, like you said, why would the Cowboys be favored in any situation here?
You know what? You could chalk it up. I don't know if you could chalk it up more than a point or two, but you could chalk it up to how the line makers thought that the public money would come into. If all the money comes in on the Cowboys, then it flips the line and it gives you that the money affects the Lions is what I'm trying to say. So in my head, there's no way that the public money, isn't going on the Cowboys here.
Yeah,
do you think so as well, or at least slightly factored in?
I say it. I said it jokingly because you're right. The money dictates. Yeah. So the line by Saturday, 24 hours before kickoff, is where it's landed on because that's where the money is. I get it. I'm just curious to what the line maker was smoking when he initially put it on the board. So should be a high scoring game, but the Cowboys to me are dead in the water. Interesting matchup.
Yeah.
When I say interesting, I mean 2 teams that have nothing to play for, and that's the Vikings are 2.5-point favorites heading into the take on the Giants. Jackson Dart, this game's 43.5. The Vikings the last 2 weeks have looked like the team that we thought they may have been at the start of the year. J.J. McCarthy's looked solid. He's thrown the ball well, and their D's been very impactful. But Jackson Dart, here's the controversy that will grow in New York is if they wind up with the first overall pick, Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana who won the Heisman Trophy, 6 foot whatever quarterback sitting right there. Are you tempted? Are you tempted to move on from Jackson Dart and draft a quarterback with the first overall pick, or do you trade down and fill out other pieces to your roster? What do you think the Giants should do?
I think you got to trade down. Not only has Jackson Dart exceeded expectations, but I feel like the fans love him. They love Jackson Dart and Scatabo, and you can build around those 2 guys. I don't follow college football like you, so I feel like I can't really make a definitive decision. Sorry, I can't speak on how good this guy is. You can, I can't. But as an NFL fan, I can't imagine you move away from Jackson Dart with what he's accomplished this season.
I understand that. I mean, that's a decision that they're going to have to make, and it's going to be a franchise-altering decision, which is going to leave you unemployed if you make the wrong one. But what I'll say to this, and I'm not the guy making the call, but what you've seen this year so far is progress from Jackson Dart. Some good things about Jackson Dart. However, he doesn't still get the message that you cannot fucking put your head down and keep running and taking contact. Like, is he like you buying a car that is eventually going to break down and it's not reliable? I think that's a big decision as well. Is his health? He's been out a couple times, concussed, and if you feel that this, new vehicle in Jackson Dart is going to break down and not be reliable for the next 5-6 years, because that's what you need in a franchise quarterback, a lengthy, serviceable, taking a majority of snaps, not on the sideline. You got to make that call, and you got to make a tough call. You got to have balls, man. That's where the 49ers are a successful franchise and constantly contend, because they can make the decision to say, hey, we moved up to take Trey Lance, and we moved a lot of draft capital to get him, but this guy Brock Purdy probably puts us in the best position to, win. Although he was drafted last overall in whatever year draft, he's our guy. We're going to make the decision. We're going to have a tough decision. And that's where I fear that the Giants will not make the right call based on the right play to make versus, it's optics are not good if we move on from Jackson Dart versus it's the right thing to do. So whatever they do is probably going to be the wrong thing. I would seriously consider Mendoza, the quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner. He's a prototypical large quarterback. He's a winner, and it's okay to make the call. So we'll see what happens there. But in the game itself, I don't see why the Vikings, if they're going on trend, should not easily cover the 2.5 points. I do believe there'll probably be some good scoring in this game, 44 more points. Where do you like to see? What do you think of the result in this one?
I agree with you. I think Minnesota keeps it rolling at -2.5, and give me the over 42.5.
Yeah, this is
not too much to say in this game. This isn't a game I'd necessarily tune into, but it kind of does seem like kind of an easy pick as well. So definitely a bet I don't mind, but not a game that I think will entertain me.
Yeah, we're at the type of year where we're going to be talking about a lot of flat games that have no significance. And what are the motivations from organizations? Are they giving guys more time in certain positions, like almost like a preseason game? So it's really tough to land on thoughts on this. But we have another game, the Buffalo Bills, who we locked in last week though you locked it in. I followed along, but you locked in the Bills to walk into New England and win that game. Mm-hmm. And the result is the result. We got the victory. They won. It was a wild ride for the Buffalo Bills, who did not show up in the first half. They got lit up by both Drake May and Henderson on the ground. And then suddenly Josh Allen wakes up and terrorized on D, the Bills did, that New England offense, and they get the victory. And not going to be shocked that they somehow move past the Patriots at some point, because the Patriots got to go into Baltimore this weekend. So Bills head into Cleveland as 10.5 point favorites over the Browns. This game moved down from 42.5 to 41.5. We got Myles Garrett chasing a sack record. He's trying to get, he might get it here. Josh Allen, takes a few sacks now and then. Shedeur Sanders having a rough outing last week. A lot to think about. Can the Bills cover this week, you think?
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, as much as I love the Bills, if I'm setting this line, this is a real hard one for me, because if I'm setting this line, I'm making it 10, not 10.5. As crazy as that is to say, so that's kind of the difference with me going with the Browns. I can see the Buffalo late in this game playing it safe. They need this win. They want the number 1 seed, and I think the Bills this year, they're my favorite, or my most likely team in my head to go to the Super Bowl. I think it'll be Bills Eagles Super Bowl, but give me Cleveland 10.5. But give me the over 41.5. That's a real low total.
Yeah, I'll take the over as well. I'll take the Bills, and the reason is that I don't think Cleveland has a consistent offense. Shooter Sanders has had some bright spots, but they got a lot of holes. And I think week over week, as there's more film on this Browns offense with Shooter Sanders, that's not good for them, right? It's not good. He holds the ball too long. And I think this will be at least a 20. I wouldn't be surprised if, they put less than 15 points on the board, Cleveland does, and the Bills eventually start putting up 30-plus points. So I think it will, at the end of the day, the Bills cover. Josh Allen, who is now number 3 in MVP. He's up there with Drake May. He's a couple percentage points behind. As far as the odds, Matthew Stafford owns it. We can probably review that at the end. But the Bills get the job done. I'm just hoping James Cook, because you have him in 4-1-6, doesn't have an effective game. Hoping the Browns can shut him out and let Josh Allen go to work. Let's hope he pulls a hammy. What about that? What do you think? James Cook pulls a hammy?
Let's not wish harm on any of the players here.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So we will also take the over on this one. 41.5 seems way too low on a Buffalo Bills kind of game.
Yeah.
Now we go to a game that I know you'll be watching. You'll be turning off Red Zone, focusing solely on this Jets game heading into New Orleans. Jets were originally a 4.5-point dog, moved up to 5.5. And Tyler Shook leads this Saints team at quarterback. I'm lost for words to know that this team walked in and knocked off Carolina last week. They beat Tampa Bay the week. Nobody wants the division. But the Saints team, to me, covers. This Jets team's going nowhere. This game goes over 40.5 points. I think it's just too low, and I'm a sucker for a low over-under. Mm-hmm. What else? I don't want to talk long about this game, but any thoughts on this?
Notable mention, I seen that Garrett Wilson, the receiver for the New York Jets, is being rested for the remainder of the season, the remainder of the third game. That's a very impactful, impactful player to this game, potential player to this game. But you know what? For some reason, I think Breece Hall, running back for the New York Jets, could have a successful game here. And, with nothing but the running game, I think they could gash the Saints. I'm not confident on this one, but because of that reason, I'm going to take the Jets 5.5. And then because it's I think it's going to be a running, grindy game. Give me the under 40.5.
Underwear. There you go. Mm-hmm. Underwear. Okay. Big game. I don't think it's getting enough attention, but we have two teams limping to this division, title, and that is Tampa heading into Carolina, which is one of the 2 games they have left with Carolina before the year's out. Tampa Bay -3 heading into Carolina, 45.5. Carolina, man, I don't understand what this team is. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. They had a significant lead in the fourth quarter against New Orleans. They choke it away. They lose it. They have wins over teams like Dallas at home, Green Bay on the road. I don't understand how they lose to like a New Orleans team. This team. I'm disgusted by this team. I hate this team. I hate the Carolina Panthers. I really do. They disgust me. And then Tampa Bay just cannot get their shit together. Like, they choked against the Atlanta Falcons the Thursday night previous. I don't know what to expect here. I want Tampa to win. Am I a Baker Mayfield guy? Yeah, I would say so. Am I a Mike Evans supporter? Yeah, I say so. But they can't buy a win. They can't figure it out. And this Carolina team, I have no idea what we're going to get. They'll probably win. I'm going to take Tampa Bay, and just because of my hate for Carolina. 45.5, I'm going to say under. I'm disgusted by them. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Go.
I'm glad you chose the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because you know what? Last week's game was an airtight game that came down to the wire. But, I think this line reflects more record than it does actual, just quality of the teams here. Tampa Bay's back to full strength. They were back to full strength last week, and then they got hurt. And then they lost that game, my bad. I'm taking -3.5 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and give me over 45.5. I feel like this team wants to make a statement, and this really could be a statement week. Carolina Panthers, I'm not saying they might not win another game or two down the stretch, or another game down the stretch, let's say, but I can't see them winning. I can see them losing by 10 here.
Wow.
I could see them losing by 20 here. I don't know why. You know, I've had these weird feelings with the Carolina Panthers. You know, I've been getting lucky, guessing random wins, random losses. But this week, I think they get absolutely crushed. I wouldn't lock it in for 20, but I would lock it in. They're losing by 10.
Okay, so I'll tell you right now, if the Carolina Panthers win, it's going to be because Bryce Young throws for under 200 yards, and somehow there is 3 to 4 turnovers, critical turnovers, strip sacks, fumble after receptions. Tampa Bay will be on the 1 yard line. They'll fumble. Carolina will recover. They'll pick off Baker in the end zone. Some stupid shit like that we've seen against the Rams for Carolina. Yeah, they knocked off the Rams. I don't get it. I just don't get this team. So if they're going to win, it's going to be the D that has significant turnovers against Tampa Bay. But I'm praying, I'm hoping, and I want the Buccaneers to kick the shit out of the stupid Panthers team. I don't want to see them again. I
think this defense gets crushed this week. You know,
I hope Carolina folds.
Baker. There's a goddamn reason why I got those Tampa Bay Buccaneer curtains in the back.
That's
and it's
right.
Not because they're a shit team.
Okay, let's hope that the curtains magic happens here. All right. The Cincinnati Bengals head into Miami to take on the Dolphins. This game opened up as a 2.5-point favorite for the Bengals. Now is 4.5. And this game was 50.5, now down to 47.5 over under. That is because of a change of quarterback for Miami. Tua is out. Quentin Ewers is in. I don't know. What do you got here? I mean, Joe Burrow, is he motivated? If he is, then Miami's in trouble. If, we got a rookie quarterback, Quinn Ewers, former Texas quarterback standout, is now in charge for the Dolphins. What do you see in this game?
You know, Miami has its superstars, but even an unmotivated Joe Burrow has enough to get the job done here. I won't say too much on this one. It's not a game I'll necessarily be watching, but give me -4.5, and give me the under. You know what? As good as Joe Burrow is, Cincinnati does have a rough defense, and Miami still got those superstars. So those are my picks.
All right, so just to note in Cincinnati, they have T. Higgins is still questionable. He did practice on Thursday or Friday, whatever it was, but I'm still monitoring his status as here's the challenging part here. This really sucks. Is that T. Higgins is not locked in for sure to play, but I got Watson as my other receiver for fantasy football, and he plays on Saturday, so I have to make the call. Like, what would you do? Tell me what you do so I can play against you more effectively.
Sorry.
I have T. Higgins.
Whoa. I was gonna ask you. My mic cut out for a second. I didn't hear who that player was, but here's what I'm gonna say because I heard that last part. I'm not giving you any advice on this.
That's bullshit.
Right, you're gonna have to.
That's not.
You're gonna have to pull the trigger yourself.
That's not sportsmanlike at all. That is horrible, man. That is absolutely horrible. I got Puka already. Like I got, I'm basically turning around. I didn't even turn the TV on Sunday.
Hey, you know what? There's a player that you have on your team that I am afraid of. I'll mention that later when the game comes up. But I don't think you're out of it. Right now on Yahoo, it's reflecting.
My bet, you're thinking Kyle Pitts. You're thinking Kyle Pitts.
Yes, you knew it. You knew it. But not only because he's been amazing. I face him in both the leagues. I'm in the playoffs this week, so for some reason I'm very afraid.
I need the Kyle Pitts that performed in Tampa a week ago. That's what I need to get me out of the Puka hole. All right. So I think the Bengals cover. I don't have any faith in this Miami team. If anybody had faith in this organization, was squashed when you watch that Monday Nighter in Pittsburgh. What a disaster. Tua is a now veteran quarterback, and he looked absolutely horrible against the Steelers. And Troy Aikman pointed out, like, they were down multiple scores, and they're huddling, like, in that fourth quarter versus, they should be ready to go no huddle because that's what the situation warranted. And they're calling timeouts. It didn't make any sense. Tua he's just not good enough, right? Yeah. And you as a franchise have now signed him to a big contract, so there's a lot of dead money. Yeah. If you get rid of him, you've benched him now. This organization is a joke. Mike McDaniels is got to be out. Like, there's no way you can retain him. You have to have a different focus and direction of this team because are you going to bring Tyreek Hill back for next year? I don't think you want to.
Yeah, something to mention about Tyreek Hill. Did you see what he tweeted after Tua was confirmed bench?
No, I did not see that.
He tweeted this emoji, peace sign.
Peace?
You know how when he's running, he puts the peace sign backwards. He sent the peace sign to Tua, which obviously is a clear sign of disrespect, and just goes to show what's going on within this organization. You know, so it was this guy's quarterback for how many years?
Yeah.
And his number one wide receiver has no respect for him.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. And honestly, Tyreek Hill is, again, like the Travis Kelce kind of situation where I think once he's recovered and is ready to go, he'd be best to kind of hold out, wait for that team that's a Super Bowl contender. I don't want to see Tyreek Hill on a like, you know, a 6-11 team like the Miami Dolphins will be the next few years. So we'll see what happens there. Not good in Miami. We move on. A team facing a lot of uphill battles now will be the Kansas City Chiefs. Gardner Minshew. Didn't have him on your bingo card, did you? In Week 16 for the Chiefs leading the charge into Tennessee to take on the Titans. And you didn't think that the Kansas City Chiefs heading into Tennessee would only be 2.5-point favorites. Should they be favored? Like what like Tennessee is their stock going up that they should be able to win this game?
No, sorry. The Tennessee Titans, I honestly, truly believe that Kansas City is being completely disrespected here. Gardner Minshew, he's a capable quarterback. You know, I wouldn't necessarily love him as a starter, but I think he's an elite backup in the NFL. And you got Andy Reid, considered one of the best coaches. You know, I think he makes it happen. Tennessee Titans are a bit of a joke. Minus 2.5 looks pretty juicy. You know, I would have expected to see this line at more like 5.5. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs, even though I mentioned, might be staying away from them lately. I'm not staying away from them against the Tennessee Titans. And then give me that over 37.5. You know, I could see Gardner Minshew having a decent game here.
You're about to see Mahomes.
But I didn't.
I agree with you. I think that just from a program perspective, the Chiefs are obviously first class, and they have a week now to prepare. I got to assume their motivation is that we want to perform. I think they'd be less motivated if Patty Mahomes was there because they have nothing to play for. We're talking about the bar being super high that you just went to 3 straight Super Bowls and now you're out of the playoffs. You can't think of a team that would be less motivated to play out the last 3 games. But I think with Gardner Minshew, I think for him, he's obviously got to have an effective game to keep that. I need this guy as my backup quarterback, whether it be with Kansas City or anybody else. So he's motivated. I think Travis Kelce has something to prove that he can help that Gardner Minshew situation. So I think they still have something to play for pride, and they'll get the job done. And this Tennessee team is not just a little bit of a joke. I think they are a joke, to your point, and I think they do cover. So I feel comfortable taking the Chiefs at 2.5, and I do think there'll be a lot of points scored here. So 37.5. I think that's obviously reflective of Mahomes not playing, but I think Minshew's going to put the ball in the air, and there's going to be some mistakes, but I think the Chiefs squeeze it out, and I think we'll get a bit of a barn burner as far as points here. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville, big game, 4 o'clock game here. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who have turned their season around absolutely in a big way, lead the AFC South into Denver to take on the division-leading Denver Broncos. The Broncos are 3.5-point favorites. This was up by 3. And this game moved up from 45.5 to 46.5 in the over-under. This is a big matchup. I think if this was the New York Jaguars versus the LA Broncos, I think this would have more of a focal point. But I don't think this is getting the respect and the attention it deserves. What do you see happening in this one?
You know what? I do identify the Denver Broncos as the better team, but Jacksonville is just having, such a great season that it's almost like, the 3.5 could really be the difference in this line. These are both playoff teams here. For that reason, I don't, this is a game I'd love to watch, but I really would struggle to predict. So I'll just go with what I'm more leaning to with the Jaguars plus 3.5. And I'll say the under 46.5.
Okay, so you're taking the Jags and the under. Okay. Yeah. So here's my thought on this is that I don't think Denver's are in threat of the Jaguars catching up to them as far as the AFC is concerned. They're 2 games behind. But if I'm a Broncos team, I want to smash because you still have the Patriots, chasing them. The fact that this line moved to 3.5, I feel comfortable taking Jacksonville. I think this will be a tight ball game. I do think there'll be more points than you do. 47 points, over 46.5 is a lot of points. But we've seen last week against Green Bay that, the Broncos could get in a shootout here. So I'll take the over, but I'll stick with you on Jacksonville. Jacksonville leads. They have Houston on their tail, right? Houston's a game behind. I can't remember Houston beat them or not. So let's just go back in time, the time machine, the technology to check out. So Houston beat the Jaguars a few weeks back. So it's very important that one game lead's only a one game lead, because if they're tied, the Texans, I think, have the tiebreaker against them. So that's all I got to say about that. But big matchup, interesting. I'll be tuning in at 4 o'clock to see what goes on here. And we have another barn burner, something that maybe strictly for fantasy purposes. The Atlanta Falcons head into Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Falcons are 2.5-point favorites, and the game is down up to 48.5 from 47.5. So outside of fantasy football, would you tune into this game?
For one reason, and it's because I got a player touchdown for you guys.
Okay.
The fact that Kyle Pitts, who I'm terrified right now of fantasy as having like a 2-touchdown game and putting up 25 points or something like that. Last week I'm pretty sure he had 30, 40 points in fantasy. His touchdown line is plus 190 now, which does make me feel little for fantasy. But the fact that that's almost 3-1 after a game he's coming off of, and I know they did get wide receiver help this game. I can't remember if it was Drake London or Mooney that's coming
London's
back
out.
this week.
Yeah.
London's out. No, so London would be the one returning. So if I'm not mistaken, London is returning this week. Can you confirm that?
Keep talking, I'll confirm. Yeah.
Because I have to automatically assume that that's a situation just with the information that I've seen on this Kyle Pitts line. But that's going to be a pick for me. It's the only touchdown scorer I have this week. But I think that the Atlanta Falcons easily get the minus 5.5. Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. I think they both lighted up this game, if I'm being honest. And you know what? I could see this game being over 50 points. So give me over the 48.5. I would also like to hear your thoughts if you think the Kyle Pitts touchdown is a quality bet, being at 190.
Just an update on Drake London. So he's still going to be listed as questionable, but Raheem Morris has stated he will play. So how effective he will be, how healthy he is, we'll find out. Sorry, what was your question about? When you said plus 190, is that a first touchdown or anytime touchdown?
I'm pretty sure it's anytime touchdown, but let me confirm that.
Let's confirm that for sure, because you're going to steer the millions of people out here the wrong way.
That is anytime touchdown.
So plus 190.
Yes, plus 190 for Kyle Pitts. Put me down for a bet. And I do want to mention, even though, roll the tape back just a little bit, even though the Buffalo Bills did win that game, I lost my bet with the minus 5.5.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Just never mentioned that.
All right. So the Atlanta Falcons, do you like them to beat the Cardinals? What do you think here is happening?
Yeah, I think they crushed the Cardinals, minus 2.5 with the over 48.5.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I can't agree more. I don't see how much you can depend on the Falcons, but if you had to make a play here, I'll take the Falcons win this game. Hopefully, Kirk Cousins also has motivated to put up numbers along with Kyle Pitts, because I got Puka. I need Pitts to. I need him to step up. Of course, he has the 40. What was he? 40 plus points as well against Tampa Bay, whatever it was. Yeah, on my bye week, I had the bye. That's when he steps up, right? So I have not been able to experience an effective Kyle Pitts at all this season until lately, because I had Travis Kelce ahead of him. But I need him. I need him to step up and validate his place in my lineup. I'm sure that's very important to him. Anyway, so I like the same as you in this game. And we move on to probably the game of the 4 o'clock hour. No, maybe not. Jacksonville, Denver should be, but maybe a close second is the Pittsburgh Steelers without TJ Watt heading into Detroit to take on the Lions. The Lions are done, right? They're done. Let me just actually hold on. They're not done, but they're pretty much done. But let's remind me where the Lions stand. The Lions right now are not eliminated, I don't think. Let's see, eliminated. No, they're No, they have a real. They're a game behind the Packers, but the Packers also have a tie. So they have to win to stay alive. They got to hope the Bears win today to keep their hopes alive. So what do you like here? They're 6.5-point dogs. Sorry, favorites over the Steelers. This game's 51.5. How do you see this playing out?
I just want to mention, the Detroit Lions not winning football games is, it's almost bad for football. I don't know a person that doesn't love watching, a Detroit Lions game on a Sunday. I think Lions are widely considered one of the most entertaining teams in football. And you know what? I think even though 6.5 is pretty close to what I would set the line at, I think I'm going to roll with the Lions winning by a touchdown with the extra point here. Give me minus 6.5 and give me 51.5 is pretty high. Give me the under 51.5.
Okay. So I'll take the opposite here. I agree with you that the Lions are probably one of the most entertaining teams in football, and especially when it comes down to a fourth down situation. What will Dan Campbell do? We miss that if he's not on the sideline making those decisions. Will he go for it, not go for it? That's part of the entertainment we have every Sunday when watching a Lions football game. Some reason I think Aaron Rodgers has a track record which is in his favor against the Lions. I know he's with the Steelers now. I think he keeps the game close. I do believe probably the Lions win this game, but I think this is going to be a tighter game than maybe the odds makers believe it will be. So I'll take the Steelers to cover the 6.5, and I'm just going to take the 51.5. I can't go into a Lions game betting an under like Jahmyr Gibbs and just Ahmad St. Brown and the weapons in this game, and maybe it pushes the Steelers to start jacking up 30-yard bombs. And I don't know if you've seen some of the highlights. Did you see that last touchdown that DK Metcalf scored against Miami? He basically catches the ball over the middle. It's third or fourth quarter, I can't recall. Just throws the defender off of him and runs into the end zone, man. This guy is a beast. And if they can feed him and he has a big day, they have a shot. But DK Metcalf is just a monster out there.
Metcalf is one of those genetic freaks. He reminds me a lot of like a LeBron James. You know what I mean? Obviously not as dominant at the sport relative to the person, but man, he's just a genetic freak. Kind of like Saquon Barkley as well. It's great. He's a monster.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree.
Yeah. Remember that video of him chasing down the defender? That was one of the craziest things. Very talented quarterback. Wide receiver. You're almost making me think that Steelers might be the play here.
It's too late. It's already penned.
All right,
I can't.
keep it going.
I don't have a pencil as the eraser.
I'm not certain on this one, anyways.
Okay. And then we get into a game that should be a lock, and that is Geno Smith is back for the Raiders, it looks like. He'll be quarterbacking a team heading into Houston, which I don't know if there's a team I would want to come back from injury on, less than the Houston Texans defense. But the Texans are 14.5-point favorites at 37.5. Is there a question at all that Vegas has no chance to win this game? Is it just a matter of the spread?
It's a matter of the spread. You can't bet a minus 1,200. That's insane. You know what I mean? To be honest, I'd rather bet the 750. But with this game, I'm going to take I got to go with the plus 14.5 points with the Raiders and over 37.5. That's extremely low. And I do just want to mention, earlier, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, we told you guys pick up C.J. Stroud. And now we're in the position in fantasy football where C.J. Stroud might be one of a top 5 quarterback start this league. And, he struggled coming back, and that advice wasn't necessarily great. But he can make it all up for this week here with a monster game where this is a crush spot for them potentially. And you know what? In both my semifinals, I'm running with C.J. Stroud this week. So
no offense, I hope he breaks his leg.
You don't want him to do good, but I want him to do good for the listeners and for me.
I don't want to wish ill will on somebody, but I hope he breaks his leg.
Jesus.
And that's in warm up. I don't even
want
want
to
to
be the first time on the podcast.
I want him to be throwing the ball around. Oh, I broke my leg. I can't go. Davis Mills, come in. You're in, buddy. CJ can't go. His season's over. But I'm not trying to wish any ill will on anybody, but I hope he breaks his leg. Anyway, just kidding out there, everybody. Just kidding. Do they cover the 14.5?
He's a big Mills guy. He's a big Mills guy.
Yeah, I'm a Bills guy. That's exactly it. Sorry, did you state that the Houston Texans will cover that?
Yeah, no. I'm going the other way. I'm going the plus 14.5 and the over because it's extremely low.
Okay, I'll go with the over as well. I just cannot support anything Vegas Raider specific. I will go with the Houston Texans. I think the line is probably too big. I don't think there's a question on that, but I can't do anything related to this stupid Vegas team. They suck so bad. All right, so that's that for that. And then we get into the Sunday Nighter, which is maybe the best game of the week, which is the game that got flexed into the Sunday Night. It wasn't originally a Sunday night game. That's the New England Patriots heading into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. I don't know what the Ravens are. I don't know. I feel that they should win this game. They're 2.5-point favorites. I'll take that all day. No problem. And I do believe this game will probably be under 48.5. It was 47.5 to open up with. Now over 48.5. So that's my play. I don't have any real reason. Baltimore has not looked good at all. Lamar has to be hurt. But I think that the playbook that the Bills showed in that second half is going to be utilized by every team playing the Patriots to shut their offense down. So where do you see this going?
This is probably the hardest game of the week to pick for me, but I'm going to go with you. I think the New England Patriots are getting a little disrespected here. I mean, they've been the better team on the year, even probably when compared to when Lamar Jackson has played.
Mm-hmm.
So even though this is extremely difficult, I got to go with Patriots plus 2.5. Give me the under.
Okay, so you want the Patriots? Disgusting.
Yes. I know I don't want the Patriots. I would prefer the Ravens to win, but this is my betting pick.
Okay. Well, I think you're wrong. I just want to point that out. For the record. Interesting matchup on Monday night. The San Francisco 49ers head into Indy to take on Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts were 6.5-point dogs, now down to 5.5. It looks like, I'm trying to get confirmation 100% that Phillip Rivers will indeed start again. The over-under is 46.5. Did you watch any of that Seattle Indy game last week and watch Phillip Rivers play?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch him play.
Okay,
I did see that he performed well, though.
Yeah, it depends how you look at it. So coming into the game, I think Seattle didn't know what they were in for. The Colts were obviously trying to hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor more than you would normally see. And Phillip Rivers limited to his passing, which when he did, he was okay. But, I mean, I feel if the 49ers get up by 2 scores, they're dead. If Phillip Rivers is your quarterback, you're dead. You're not going to come back. So, we'll see how it happens here. And I think the 49ers walk over the Colts. I'll take the 49ers 5.5. I'll take the under 46.5. 49ers is just a better team, and we'll have a better game plan knowing what they're in for, seeing the film on Phillip Rivers in last week.
Yep. I completely agree with you on the walkover. I'm taking San Francisco winning by 5.5, although I think it's probably going to be closer to them winning by over 10. And then I'll go the opposite end of the spectrum, and I will take 46.5, the over.
Taking the over. Wow. Okay.
Over, yes.
You feel confident on that?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that does the Sunday card. Now let's just take a little quick snapshot look at the MVP scenario here. Okay, let's just do that. 1 second.
I gotta assume I'm not looking at it yet. I gotta
Don't look at
assume
it.
that Matthew Stafford is over minus 500 now, if not 500.
He's minus 220. So
That's it?
That's not I don't understand that because he even if they lost on Thursday, it wasn't anything to do with him. He put up the numbers and he played effectively. But Drake May is plus 420 and Josh Allen is plus 440. Remember, he was in the thousands last week when we talked, right? And we talked about the narrative will be if he drags this team back to a division title. A lot of the MVP voters may be looking at what have you done for me lately that stands out. And Josh Allen is in the ballpark. Jordan Love is out. We talked about him potentially being a guy that could jump in the mix, but he's out. But Does Josh Allen have a chance? What do you think?
I think Stafford. I've been hardcore on Stafford for what 6-7 weeks now, something like that. I think Stafford is the clear MVP. I don't know how he had a career. He was the leader in MVP voting. Goes out and has a game with 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and more yards than he's had all year. And that line barely moves. If I'm not even mistaken, off the top of my head, he was minus 250 last week.
Yeah,
how was he minus 250 last week? Goes out, contributes to that insane touchdown to interception ratio, throws for more yards than he's thrown all season, and you're lowering that line. To me, that makes no sense. You know, that's insane value. If you got patience like we don't, throw that in a parlay with some of your games. Stafford is winning MVP. I'm confident. I'm 100%.
You're confident, 100%.
I was already 90% sure, but after seeing this, I have no idea what's going on.
So
give him MVP.
It should be. I mean, I'm sold on Matthew Stafford's done everything that you could possibly do. Like, he lost. Okay, let's look at a losing scenario. He went to overtime. Sorry, they went to overtime because of a 2-point controversy that he has no control over. Mm-hmm. He goes into overtime, marches down the field, kills 4 or 5 minutes off the clock like you want him to, throws for a touchdown in overtime, and then Seattle comes back and goes for a 2. Again, he did everything he could possibly do within his control, and that is march down the field and throw a touchdown. It's not like they got stalled and had to punt or settle for a field goal. He threw for a touchdown. Do you know how many yards? Guess how many yards he threw for on Thursday? He threw for 457 yards.
Yes.
He threw for 457 yards.
And quarterback. That's why I'm going crazy right now. I usually don't go crazy like this, but how do you change the line in the opposite direction after a performance like this?
Because the story, the Netflix series of Josh Allen, of leading this team back to a potential division when you thought they were down and out, will be the narrative that will put him in at least arm's length of this potential MVP. Second back-to-back MVP. I'm telling you.
Here's what I'll say. I truly do believe that both these scenarios come true. I think Josh Allen will come back and carry his team. I said, I think it's Eagles-Bills Super Bowl, right? So I think he does that, but I don't think that's enough to make up for what Stafford's done compared to him. He's had struggles this year. Stafford's had no struggles. He maybe had 1 or 2 bad games. But man, and I understand Josh Allen does not have anything close to the weapons that Stafford does. But I mean, when you're looking at the numbers, I just feel like you're so far ahead.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Now, what's going to happen is if the 49ers are a game behind the Rams, because the Rams now are locked into a playoff spot, they're in the 5th seed, but there's a scenario where the 49ers could wind up being the NFC champion, right? Because of the combination of Seattle and LA, and if they move down to the 6th seed, I think people are going to sour on Matthew Stafford as MVP for no reason. I just think that's how it's going to play out. And if Josh Allen again moves into a situation where they win the division, and I know the voting's happens prior to the playoffs, but I think he's going to be in contention. And if you look at this Bills team as well, this is it. This is it. There is no more excuses why they can't reach a Super Bowl than this season. The pressure is now completely on. You thought it was on before? You thought it was on Josh Allen and this organization prior to knowing that the Kansas City Chiefs will not be there? The Ravens are not at full power like they were before? There is absolutely no excuse. This is either Super Bowl or bust. This is Super Bowl or Sean McDermott is out. This is going into the new stadium next year. The chips are all in the middle. Or you got that double down blackjack scenario where you're asking for that card face down. You're against a 6, a bust card, and you're waiting for that payout. And if you don't, you're heading on a plane home from Vegas, discuss it, and look for a new plan heading into next year. I'm telling you, it's going to happen that the Bills are either going to do it or you're going to see some serious changes in Buffalo. What are your thoughts?
In this situation, you know, I have faith in Josh Allen to get it done. I have faith in a playoff run. Let's go Bills.
Okay, so Super Bowl. Let's go now. We talked MVP, had a discussion there. So let's look at the current Super Bowl odds and tell me if you agree. Okay.
All right, I won't
So-
look at him. If you want me to
Are you
guess.
looking at them? Don't look
No,
at them.
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay. Okay. So if you had to put 5 teams right now,
Yeah.
start at 5. Do you want to go up or down? Do you want to start at 1 and go down, or
I'll
do you want to go
start
5?
at 1.
Okay. So start at 1. Who do you believe is currently the betting odds to win the Super Bowl?
I believe that it's the Rams.
Okay. And what do you think their odds are right now?
I would say their odds are plus 380.
They're actually plus 490.
490. Okay.
490. Who is number 2?
I would say number 2. I feel like Seattle's probably 2, 3, or 4, but I'm gonna guess the Bills.
No, they're number 3. You were correct when you first said the Seahawks. The Seahawks right now hold the keys to that first round bye. They're plus 550. Interestingly enough, they knock off the Rams. They are now in the driver's seat. They win out. They're going to be number 1 in the NFC, but yet they're number 2 behind the Rams, who would have to play on the road to win, which is interesting. So the Bills are number 3 at plus 800. And you got to think that the Bills, I mean, do they have, this is the easiest road that they have ever had to potentially get to the Super Bowl. So do you believe plus 800 is a good value play for the Bills?
I think that's a great value play. You know, I would probably set them more to close to 500. I'm a big believer in that quarterback, you know, can run the show. And in such an uncertain NFL season to who's the clear standout team, I think that's how it plays out.
Well, I believe that it's pretty well known, but I mean, the opinion is that Josh Allen is the best player, or the best player in football.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Like healthy right now?
Yeah, like if you had one player in the NFL to believe that is going to be the biggest difference maker on the field at any given time, 32 teams, is Josh Allen number 1?
I think there's one player you could argue that's healthy right now. He's got a shit team around him. But I think there's one player you could argue that's right there with him. Even though I would put Josh Allen first, I'd say Joe Burrow maybe, but I think Josh Allen is the number 1 player in football currently.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then who do you believe 4 and 5 are, as far as
4 and
teams?
5. Is Jacksonville one of those two? I don't know if they'd be 4 or 5.
No, they're not. They're Jacksonville's down the list here. Jacksonville's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th.
I remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm assuming Green Bay's got to be out of it.
No, well, they're down a little further. They're number 6, but there's 2 teams ahead of Green Bay. One team that may have beaten Green Bay last week. That I'd given you a hint, huh?
Or sorry, no. Who beat Green Bay last week?
You got to think of this up, man.
I'm blanking on the 4 or 5 teams, and I don't want to guess. You know, I got 1 through 3.
I don't want to nix you on like your thinking here, but there's a hint again. I don't want to nix you on.
Sorry, the Denver
yes,
Broncos. Of
I didn't
course.
even use it
How do I
right
leave
way.
out the Denver Broncos?
Okay, and then the Philadelphia Eagles wind up as the number 5. So
what's their line?
They are plus 1,000.
You know what? That's not enough. I was looking to see if they were a little more than that. 10-1 though. I mean, it's interesting. You know, I still think the Eagles are winners. You know, I think they have just raw talent that any moment could flip on a switch, and I don't think anyone really knows. But at plus 10, the ability for this team to flip a switch and become the best team in football does have me tempted. But a lot of interesting lines here.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And that is right now the NFL card, the NFL discussion, any other topics related to the NFL or beyond that you would like to talk about today.
I do want to mention, you know, when we inch closer to the baseball season, it's less than 100 days now till the start of the MLB season. We will have a futures podcast for you guys, maybe 50 days out, a month or 2 out from the season, kind of talk what we've been talking about, like with the futures, like we were on this episode. But other than that, I don't really have much to say. Once again, I want to say thank you to all our supporters, people who are listening every week. It truly keeps me motivated to keep going, waking up at 8 a.m., getting that coffee ready for the Saturday episode. I appreciate all you guys. And thank you.
All right, I thank you as well. And remember, we got Christmas coming up. There's NFL action on Christmas Day, Thursday. I don't know if we'll be able to squeeze a podcast in by then, but we'll try to aim for another Saturday of NFL action. But maybe we'll try to sneak up on a Christmas Eve pod, and we'll see if we can squeeze a review of those games on Saturday. But for you bettors out there, you got college football action today, NFL action, soccer action, NBA, NHL. It's going nuts. The Overrated Experience has it all. But we're out for this week. Enjoy your Week 16 NFL action. The pleasure's all been yours. The Overrated Experience is over and out.
Awesome from Ajax. Out.
All right.